What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. This is episode 347. I'm your host, Steve V, alongside Lincoln, fresh out of class. How you doing, Lincoln?
Doing well. Had a good 2-hour workout and now ready to chat.
Awesome, blossom. Joining us, of course, is Cody Maurice Doggett. How's the moving situation going,
Hello,
Cody?
darling. I'm still buried in boxes over here, darling, but it's coming along. It's coming along.
Nice. Well, welcome to the show here. I'm so excited. We've got a full show of hot topics. Let's just get a gauge. I'm going to do a gauge with you guys.
Okay.
Yesterday was daylight savings. So happy about that.
Yeah.
Spring is this Sunday. Very excited about that. COVID restrictions have lightened up. How are we feeling? Lincoln, I'll start with you.
Exhausted. No, I'm kidding. I actually am feeling
Without prelude? Without prelude?
Well, you know why? Because we're gearing up and we're not used to it, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's not 3 people in my classes. There's 26.
Ooh.
That's a very big difference.
Oh,
There are
here we
people
go.
come into the bakery, and the first thing out of my mouth is not, can you please put on a mask? Or for a while there it was, could I see your vaccination card? Now it is, hey, have you been here before? Or welcome back. And that's, there's not that block between every communication at the bakery. Some people in the gym are still wearing masks when they take class. I feel overall I'm relieved because now that it's not a mandate, I don't care if you wear your mask on your head. I don't care what you do. You could do whatever you want because our percentage rates, especially in Chelsea, are so low that the chances, it's just, ridiculous. So it's very exciting. I hope it lasts. I hope it lasts forever and ever and ever. And that we beat this thing and that we could celebrate a little bit and let all the shaming go and the screaming going and all that stuff. So I love it. Also, the streets are getting full again, which comes with its own fun and its own annoyances and trying to just be cool and but I personally, for me, I've really hit a nice stride of things are what they are, and I'm loving life minute by minute. And if I'm not loving it, I'm changing it.
Hey, love that.
Which is good, which feels good. And I'm able to,
Cody,
which I'm very grateful about.
Cody, with everything going on, daylight savings, spring is coming up this Sunday. You just moved into a brand new place with your boyfriend, Joe. COVID restrictions are lightening. How are you feeling?
Wary but hopeful. I'm in the good.
I like that.
Yeah, but what's the old adage? Check, but be
one eye open, one eye
trust, but verify. That's where I am right now because I'm a little bit worried about COVID coming back, of course, people getting a little bit too crazy out there in those streets, especially with the sunlight being out there. Daylight savings did knock me on my butt. I fell asleep during the movie yesterday, but that's a whole nother subject. But I am hopeful because we get more sunlight. It didn't get dark at 4:00 today, so that made me very, very happy. And I'm just hopeful that things will get so much better. And like Lincoln said, I won't have to worry about COVID anytime soon, and things will go back to what they were before, pre-COVID. So.
Yeah, and for me, I'm very hopeful as well. A little bit of that one eye open in terms of the COVID thing. I have an 82-year-old mom, and she's still wearing her mask. I'm still going to be ordering her groceries. And so there's that. On the other hand, I am walking now, you guys, broken ankle. And I feel a little bit like Carrie, if you guys watched And Just Like That, when she broke her or had an issue with her hip. And in the episodes, all of a sudden, and just like that, she put on those high heels
You
on,
got the
and it
Manolos
was
on?
spring. I mean, we're not going that far, but they might be Macy's or a little bit downgraded, but no, I'll be happy to put on a pair of sneakers, which I did today actually, and was walking around everywhere back in my gym, slowly but surely walking my way towards spring. I don't care. For me, I've been in lockdown even longer than most people just because of the broken ankle. And so I am so excited that just to go on walks, like that's going to be a big deal. And to go out, and I'm taking my prep, so I'm hoping to get laid again.
Hey,
And oh yeah, it's all good. So I'm excited.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make a quick note here. If you join our Patreon channel, you may have noticed we have a Discord channel, and that's where you can talk with us. We have a whole community joining on there, and you've been on there, Cody.
Oh
It's really
yeah.
fun. The show kind of continues after the week via text. Well, we have a Discord voice channel. It's going to be a lot like Clubhouse was. We're calling it Deeper. Once a month, we're going to do a deeper conversation. And the first one is Tuesday, March 29th. And this is for the subcategory of our Patreon channel, subcategory and beyond. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tuesday, March 29th at 9 p.m. Eastern time is the very first one at the subcategory. You can join patreon.com/tags podcast.
That's exciting.
That's
It
cool.
is.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if you guys are watching any of the nominated films for Academy Awards. I spent the weekend watching several of them, and one of the ones that I watched was The Power of the Dog, which honestly I wasn't sure I was going to be into. I was riveted by it. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Jane Campion film.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a Western film, and that's what kind of threw me off. But The Power of the Dog keeps on picking up awards with director Jane Campion, and she's been speaking out on its haters. Before Saturday night's Directors Guild of America Awards, where The Power of the Dog won the Marquee Theatrical Feature Film Prize, solidifying Jane Campion's status as an Oscar frontrunner, Campion also responded to some of recent criticism of her film from popular Western actor Sam Elliott, according to Out.com.
Okay.
She wrote, quote, "I'm sorry he was being a little bit of a bitch.
What?
He's not a cowboy, he's an actor." Campion told Variety before the ceremony, "The West is a mythic space and there's a lot of room on the range. I think it's a little bit sexist." And I saw what heard what he had said, Sam Elliott had said. She was responding to recent remarks to the veteran actor on Mark Marone's WTF podcast, where he called the movie a piece of shit, saying that there was no Western in
What?
the Western. Elliott also criticized the movie for its allusions to homosexuality throughout the fucking movie, and said that the cowboys looked more like Chippendale dancers than cowboys, quote, running around in chaps and no shirts. He also attacked Campion herself, saying she wasn't fit to direct a Western. Quote, "What the fuck does this woman... She's a brilliant director, by the way. I love her work, her previous work, but what the fuck does this woman from down there, New Zealand, know about the American West? And why in the fuck does she shoot this movie in New Zealand, calling it Montana? This is the way it was. That fucking rubbed me the wrong way, pal." Um, so that's what she was kind of responding to. And I have to say, I watched the movie and it was so good. I'm not really into Western.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a Brokeback Mountain
I
by
was just
any
gonna say.
means. I'm very surprised that Sam Elliott didn't learn anything from Lady Gaga. I mean, hello, Miss, gay champion herself,
Yeah.
when he worked with her on A Star Is Born. But does this surprise you, Lincoln, that he would say something like that? And do you love her clapback?
I don't know. I don't. I don't have a definite opinion about this. I'm a voter for the SAG Awards. I saw this movie about
Oh,
2 months ago
okay.
before it
What did
came
you think
out.
of the
I
movie?
was bored. I was not riveted. I did not
Really?
find it very interesting. I thought it was slow. I just wasn't.
It's slow,
It's
yes.
slow, and I I love the piano in its day. I did not connect that this was the same director, and I
Oh,
shouldn't
okay.
have to. You know, like when the movie was over, I was like, why is this movie getting such critical acclaim? Same with Licorice Pizza. Not a fan. I was like, this
Yeah,
is
that
not
one
good
I heard wasn't
movie
great.
making to me. West Side Story,
See, I
brilliant
love the
movie making. Um, even the 10 Rings, the Marvel movie, that was such good
Mhm.
movie making. But those two movies, Licorice Pizza and The Power of the Dog, and even in the middle of it, I'm like, wait a minute, this is a gay movie. Like what is happening? I
I
just
don't think it was a gay movie. There's just audience, so you know there is a subtext going on that makes it a
Homoerotic?
kind of homoerotic, yeah, not in a Brokeback Mountain way, but similar. But what I did really like about it, where you mentioned the piano, is the good usage of music. There is a whole thing about piano in it, but just the score alone and the visuals of it. And I get it. Sometimes movies are long and drawn out, and I was here for it though. I don't know. There was a yearning to the film. It was shot. It was supposed to be 1925, so I had to take stock of that and put myself in what would life be like
Mhm.
in this part of Montana in 1925, and what would life be like. I don't know. I saw it. I found it beautiful, and I was yearning a lot. I did pull myself back several times, thanking the Lord that thank God I'm born today. It's a good time to be in 2022, y'all,
yeah.
because
That's right.
I mean,
With
you know what
running
I
water
mean?
and
Yeah.
electricity.
Okay, and yeah.
And I
And
will say,
prep and
something something that I was very attuned with myself about this voting season is every year when I start to get the movies and the digital downloads come and it's all I get always very excited about it. But 2 years sitting at home watching all movies on my couch, kind of stuck anyway. I know I didn't
Mhm.
have the
yeah.
same flair. And I will say it was part of the thing of like, let's just get through all these. So we watched Licorice Pizza, The Power of the Dog, Passing, and um, the Ben Affleck one, all like back to back to back to back. And the Ben Affleck one was the best one that I felt the best one out of the four that night. Like we watched it all in one sitting. So that's a lot of movie watching. So if
That's a
people,
lot of movie,
yeah, it's
yeah.
a lot of like sit and focus. You know what I mean? So, but I wasn't a,
These movies are, yeah.
yeah, I wasn't a fan. I was
Uh,
really
the-
a fan of West Side Story. I thought it was really brilliant.
That's on my. I'm watching that next. Cody, what do you think
Ooh.
about the fact that she clapped back at Sam Elliott and said, "He's not a cowboy. He's an actor,"
Yeah.
based on what he's told her about his film?
I love it. I love a strong woman that can speak her mind and make sure that she stands up for herself and make sure that she's not afraid to speak her mind. So I love that part. The part that has me a little bit raising my eyebrow at her is because did you hear what she said to the Serena to the Williams sisters at the
No.
so she said that while she admired the Williams sisters, she did not they were not she didn't have to they didn't have to fight the same battles as she did because she has to play with the boys, and people were on her like white on rice after she made that comment because
Uh
yeah,
oh.
because the Williams sisters are beloved and they have had to play with the boys, and she had to walk back her comment a little bit, and
Okay.
she did, and she expressed her adul- admiration for the Williams sisters. So it's all good now, but I'm still looking at her a little bit with one eye on the side eye.
She was probably fired up with the Sam Elliott comment
Oh,
thing
probably.
on is her film really a Western and it's shit and all this kind of thing. But I don't know that what you were talking about. I'll look that up,
Hmm.
and I'm glad if she did say that she walked it
Oh
back,
yeah.
because that's not cool. Yeah, that's also on my list too. So okay, so many films. I also watched Drive My Car, which is slow moving, y'all. 3 hours, but I loved it. I ultimately loved it, and
3 hours
so
in a
I'm
car? That sounds
3 hours.
horrible.
Oh, I loved it.
Are we
I can
there
watch some of these
yet?
movies sometimes. We got there, and there wasn't a whole lot changed at the end, but it was one of those subtle films. But I really, really got a lot out of it, and I adored it. So
This is part of the
maybe not
problem.
for everybody.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is, to me, this is part of the problem with the modern day, is that you have 4 episode or 6 episode mini series that can really encapsulate a story in 45-minute increments or an hour increments and make
Hmm.
such a bigger impact than a 2 hour
A four,
film
3 hour
that
movie.
has, or a
Yeah.
I
2 hour
agree.
film that really has a lot to get done, because we're seeing it on the same screen that we watch everything else now. You know what I mean? You're not going to a
Ah.
big movie theater as an event and watching this movie. You're seeing it on the same
Uh-huh.
screen. Some people on the same screen that they do their work, or people are watching movies on their phone. I mean, come on. Like,
On the
you know what I mean?
iPad,
So
yeah.
it's
That's
just
a good
Crazy.
point, Lincoln. That's a good point, because I noticed I started watching Hi Salty
I know
Pretzel.
she's in the back. She already had one bowl of food.
I
Just
lo-
calm down. Sorry about that.
That's a good point, because I started watching Drive My Car late after I'd already watched 2 films, and I had to turn it off, and I was like, "Oh, I'm bored with this movie. I'm not going to be into it." And then I thought, you know what? No, reset. Maybe turn it on. I turned it on the next day, Sunday, fresh at like 11 in the morning, and I had a whole new perspective on it. I'm like, oh no, wait a minute, I'm totally into this now. And I was, but I do have to prepare myself on the same screen for a cinematic experience
Mhm.
versus one of my, shorter TV series that I like to watch. You kind of have to get in that mindset, because you're right. It can get very all like, this isn't making sense and I'm bored.
Do
Well,
you think
that's part of
So
the
some of
problem.
the
You
new
can't pause it and go pee when you're in a movie
Oh,
theater. You know what I mean? Like
right,
when you
you got to
pause it
run.
and
I always run because I always
exactly,
have to
you
pee.
run and you're like, "Oh my god, what did I miss? What did I miss?" And you're still in the
And they're like,
momentum of
shh,
the movie,
shh. Yeah,
are
right?
you
You're
that
yeah.
person, Lincoln?
what?
Are you talking during the movie saying, "What did I miss?"
No, 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 no,
I
no, no, no,
am,
no,
because
no, no.
I ask somebody, because it's lately movies are 3+ hours, and I do not, I cannot see Batman at 4 hours. I can't believe
I
Batman
can't
is four
wait.
fucking hours.
This
I will
new
not
Batman
pee
is
for 4
4
hours. I
hours?
might bring I'm
4 hours, Lincoln. It's 4 hours.
I might
Did I
bring a
say that right?
bedpan.
Oh my god.
I mean, you know what I would have to do is go to one of those that has liquor, and just on the hour, I'm just, guys, on the hour, I'm going to the bathroom. So just here, I'm going to have 4 cocktails.
Wow.
I'm going to go to the bathroom 4 times. And I'm going to do this on the hour.
That's a
So
lot.
let's just go.
Yeah, that's a
Zoe
lot.
Yeah, but
Kravitz is worth it.
What'd you say?
Zoe Kravitz is definitely worth it.
Yeah, she is.
Michelle
All
Pfeiffer.
right.
No,
Lincoln.
Michelle Pfeiffer knocked
Yes.
down all the pins. The role has been done.
Yes, she
So
did.
Yes,
did
she did,
Zoe.
Yes.
and she supports Zoe, so
All
I'm
right.
here for it.
Well, first of all, I
All
want to see
right.
the interview where Michelle supports her. Thank you very much. Did
It's
you
all
guys
over the
watch
internet.
Saturday
I
Night
will
Live?
Okay,
text
you
you
guys.
the
And we're
tweet.
moving on. Because a Texas judge Friday ordered a statewide halt to investigate the investigation of parents of transgender children under Governor Greg Abbott's directive that claimed letting kids access gender affirming care is child abuse. So this came after a Texas court denied the state's appeal of a restraining order temporarily blocking the investigation of one set of parents who have allowed their transgender daughter to access gender affirming care. Texas Civil District Court Judge Amy Clark Meacham last week granted the restraining order, which stopped this investigation. and after Friday's hearing in Austin to consider blocking Abbott's directive statewide, she decided, this is what the New York Times reported. So essentially, she ruled that Governor Abbott's order, was not adopted properly and violated the Texas Constitution, and that this could not be enforced while the lawsuit makes its way through the courts. Are you guys aware of what Governor Abbott has done in Texas about this whole rule, which essentially would, he's putting blocks and probing parents of kids that want to let their kids explore their transgender
Mm-hmm.
and making it essentially illegal? And this is a major feat that this was blocked by a judge. I think I'm so happy. I mean, we
Yeah.
talk so much about what's going on in Florida about Don't Say Gay bill,
Yep.
but look at this lascivious
Yeah.
governor Abbott, who's essentially saying, no, your children cannot be trans, and if you do, we will investigate. And if you think that that's not going to happen, this all started because once it went into effect, once he said that, actually they started looking out for parents that were doing it, and the whole reason was it went into they were investigating different parents that were doing this. I mean,
Wow.
what year are we in? Is this 1925
It
Lincoln,
might be.
like the movie? I mean, what's your thoughts on
Well,
this?
I think it's really sad. I think this whole thing is very new. The trans community and the way we deal with little kids and teenagers, it's new and it's going to be hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around. A lot of the medical stuff is new, but this is obviously just throwing politics out front. It's a wedge issue that's just going to keep dividing people and distracting people from the real issues, and kids are in getting caught in the middle of it. So I'm beside myself because, one, I have no authority in this subject or in this realm at all, but I do know that these kids, the suicide rates are going to go up. Like I've heard over and over from more than one expert, if we don't get these kids what they need as they grow, right? As they grow up,
Yeah.
and listen to the kids.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me because he's a Republican, and they're always about no government involvement in in daily life. And here, this is just the opposite of that. He
Yeah.
is involving himself. And when parents, I mean, I wish that I had parents that I could have come out to when I was a kid, and I just didn't have that back in, the early 80s when I was realizing what my sexuality was even about. There are parents, I have my sister's friends talk to me all the time about her friends' children, that there, so many parents are so much more open, thank goodness, to not just being gay, bisexual, but trans. And if a parent, shouldn't it be up to the parents to decide what's good for their parents, not a governor, Cody?
Oh, I agree 100%. These laws are being made by people that want to force their beliefs and how they feel upon everybody. And that's actually, they say that that's what they're trying to defend against, but they're that's really what they're upholding, and they think that their way is the only way and it's the right way, and they're not opening their mind to so many more possibilities. And I think it's just really sad, and I really hope that people finally come to the realization that the more you explore, the more you can say who you are affirmatively. And that's the real beauty of exploring.
Absolutely. And to just, it's so gross to me that you would be investigating parents on what they're doing for their children. I just can't with that. So I'm glad this judge blocked it,
Yeah,
and I
me
hope that
too.
there's more of that ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you look for it, every day has a cause for celebration. We're celebrating every week, recording our favorite podcast. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022 where you can get a beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. Right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with the code FAST5. Recently, I've been using Drizzly every week with my broken ankle, mainly for its convenience of shopping across stores so you can choose from a huge selection. Benefit? Get exactly what you want at the best price. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and use promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order.
Michael Henry's a comedian who I really think is a lot. I love his skits that he puts on YouTube. And this week he asked the tough question about nude photo etiquette. He does these skits. If you're not aware of him, you can look up Michael Henry on YouTube.
Love him.
Yeah, love him. We need to get him on the show.
Ooh.
Specifically, what's up with guys who ask to swap photos and then don't hold up their end of the bargain? It's a funny skit. I watched it. I'll post it on TAGSPodcast.com. But on one side of the argument, Henry's co-stars, Preston Sadler, asks, why should someone have to send you their nudes if they don't want to? It's his body. He's allowed to change his mind. It was a sexual situation agreement. You're allowed to say no to anything you said yes to previously in a sexual situation. Are we really comparing this to sex in person? Counters Sadler's on-screen boyfriend. Then, quote, this is totally different, chimes in Henry. This grown man and I made a commitment to each other that we would equally share our nude pics with each other. So what? He's allowed to have a nude photo of me, but I can't have one of him? That's not fair. If you make a commitment, you should honor it, agrees one of the friends.
Here.
It's a really funny skit. And I've been in this situation before. It's why I made a commitment to myself that I won't share any more nude photos of myself like in a text anymore. I just stopped that. Like, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I had this friend that we were fuck buddies in the past, and I think I told this recently that he said, "Hey, how have you been?" He saw something that I posted on Facebook, and he wanted, "When are you going to be in LA next?" And we had great sex, and it was photo, and he wanted me to continuously, and I could tell he's never going to stop asking me for more nudes, and it's going to be videos. And sure enough, it was videos, and I was like, okay, no, I can't. This is too much. And I just made the decision that this is never going. Like, I'm an in-person live in front of a live studio audience, y'all.
Hey.
I do well that hey. And so I'm with that. I've also been in the situation before where we've agreed on the app, Grindr, Scruff, let's exchange photos, and I've unlocked mine, and then the other person doesn't. And this in the skit, they confront them. Well, why didn't he show me his pictures? He's like, well, maybe he didn't like what he saw, which is probably the real reason of all of this.
No.
Cody, what are your thoughts on the etiquette of when you should you be held to share your photos if you've decided and agreed upon doing so?
Yes, I think it should be a legally binding contract that you can take to sex court. and I want to go in front of Judge Wapner or whomever and definitely be able to get my nudes if somebody reneges on sending me nudes, because there are a lot of people that just collect pics out there, and I have been the victim of somebody just collecting my pics and not really sharing theirs back, and I need my retribution for that. So I need all this to come back. So thank you. That's my TED Talk.
I love that TED Talk. I love it. What's your thoughts on this, Lincoln? Do you think that it's bad etiquette to not want to share your photos once you've already agreed upon doing so?
Yeah, I mean, if you say you're going to both unlock or whatever, you should do it. There's no if, and, or but about that. It's proper etiquette. It's the right thing to do. There are also a lot of people out there collecting pics and that's what gets them going, I also would not take all this very seriously. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
photos on
wouldn't
an
either.
app.
Yeah.
The one thing I've also noticed too is, which I don't do the apps pretty much anymore, but one I've noticed in my private pics, I have plenty of nudes, dick pics, ass pics, all the good goodies,
Mm-hmm.
if you will. I've unlocked those for people, and sometimes people want, oh, can you send me another one? It's like they're all
They're
there. Like
greedy.
my resume is there. My resume speaks for myself. Do you want quotes? I can provide you that. But we either need to meet and you need to trust that, or forget it. Like forget about it.
The
Right.
Like I'm
Yelp
not going to send
reviews
you
are
more.
there if you.
Yeah. This brings us to our poll question of the week. This week, you got to take our poll. It's on Patreon. Poll: if you agree to exchange nudes, is it bad etiquette to change your mind once the agreement is made? That's the poll question of the week. You can go to
Okay.
tagspodcast.com/tags podcast. And just to give you last week's poll, injectable prep is what we were talking about. Given our current topic on injectable prep, will you consider taking injectable prep instead of a daily pill? A resounding yes is what everybody said, with 1% of you saying not applicable, meaning you probably aren't, I'm assuming, on taking it or using condoms or any of that. So a resounding yes. Many of you will switch to injectable prep. I like that. I'm for it. Moving on, it's time to get into some Reddit here.
Ooh.
And this one comes from, posted by Need Body Help. Okay. Is it okay to not want to top your boyfriend, but want to top other guys?
Oh my.
Uh-oh. He writes, I'm 32, have been in a relationship now for over 6 years. We have an open relationship for maybe the last year or so. We own a place together. We're happy, but the main sticking point is my lack of desire to top him. When we got into the relationship, it was on the basis of us being approximately versatile. Over time, he ended up topping more and more, which we're both quite happy with. But my partner at the end of the day is not a total top, and he does not want me to tops. And he does want me to top sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
He's free to bottom as much as he likes outside of our relationship, but he wants to do it as well, which is quite sweet. The truth is, I really don't get turned on by the idea of topping him. Nevertheless, I completely get and respect his desires, so I will Viagra up and do the deed. Okay, now.
Okay.
I still find him attractive and I still want him to top me. I just don't really want to top him. Adding more fuel to this is the fact that I am keen to top other people outside of the relationship.
Mm.
Considering my lack of enthusiasm to top him, he's not really very happy about this, and it can create some more tension. Almost done with this. As to why this is all the case, I think it's just because of what turns me on. I'm quite into Dom sub dynamics, and I get off on being the top or the bottom, and I don't really like to blur the lines too much, like equally. I wouldn't particularly want to bottom for someone I am topping. Seeing the guy that I submit to being so submissive and vulnerable himself just doesn't do it for me. I don't really know if this is a common problem in gay relationships or how people have navigated this in the past, so I just appreciate some insight and perspective from anyone, really. Cody,
Mm-hmm.
what's your thoughts on this? Because do you get his point about the sub and the top thing? So he's essentially saying that he's kind of put people in those categories.
Yeah.
On, it's not that he doesn't want to top or bottom, he wants to do both. It's just he sees his tops in one way and his bottoms in another way.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Because sex comes down to energy and chemistry at the end of the day. And that can't be faked, or it can't be, you can Viagra it up, but you can't really, his word, but you can't really like fake it. So I completely agree with him. Me personally, I do get into the mindset of being in a specific role with a specific person. That being said, if my partner was to have a better time topping somebody else than topping me, and I would have my feelings hurt because it would feel like I wasn't doing what I could do to fulfill his needs, or it would feel like there was a part of me that can't fulfill him. So that would hurt my feelings.
So you would Viagra
up. Well, I would have him Viagra up.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. Gotcha. Lincoln, what are your thoughts on this? Because couldn't you make love to somebody and fuck somebody and it doesn't have to be dom sub type of roles?
Yeah.
That wasn't very convincing.
That was the least.
Well, you
That was
can.
like maybe.
It's I can see sometimes a bottom takes over and they're really the top in the situation because they're doing
True.
all the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've had definite times in my life where the bottom is like a top bottom, like they're a hungry bottom that does all the work. And sometimes you can be a very dominant bottom that, like, I'm saying it 3 times over, so it must be true.
You must enjoy that,
right? But my question to him is, with a 6-year relationship, how has this ebbed and flowed over the years? Because I don't think it's all
Yeah.
one in for 6 years. You know what I mean? Like, I think a relationship ebbs and flows as far as what else is going on in their life, or sometimes you're in a relationship and you just say, hey, I want something different for a moment, and that doesn't necessarily mean having sex with someone else. Your mind just goes to different places outside of sex, and then you bring that back with you. So my question is, just because of their experience, I haven't been in a 6-year relationship, how is it ebbed and flowed throughout the relationship?
Yeah, honestly, it sounds like they're in. Honestly, they sound like they're in pretty good shape.
Totally.
If
That's why
you
I'm asking the
because
advice.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like they're a really in good shape. Like, he's posing this question. I don't want to minimize what he's posing because it's kind of the current state. I love that it sounds like they've made it work throughout the time. They can both kind of flip here and there. He could Viagra up, which I love that statement. I want to keep saying that.
Yeah.
That he can make it work for his partner, but it's and I love that he could still do that, but I don't feel, and he's still in love with his partner. He's still attracted to his partner. He can still get fucked by his partner. It's sort of, I don't even want to say the word minor because it's not minor. It's what he obviously thought enough to write into Reddit to post this. But I think they're in good shape.
But
and
honestly, it might be more of a problem or it might be more of an issue for his partner, and it's not really an issue for him. So he's not relating to it as an issue, but his partner might be bringing it up to him more and more and more, and then that is where the disconnect is coming in, because the partner.
But I wonder how much he's sharing with his partner, because if he's Viagraing up, again, I want to say that that maybe the other one doesn't know. Maybe he's getting fucked by the other one,
So
just
he's
taking the
fine.
Viagra, and he doesn't even know it's really in the other one's head that he's deciding to be more open and pose this, and he's a little nervous to say, listen, hon, I mean, I'll do this for you. However, I'm not really into it. I'm just doing it. And maybe it's a compromise moment. He's just posing the question. Sounds like they're going to be fine either way.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, ebbs and flows, like you said, Lincoln, like all relationships do. All relationships sexually go through ebbs and flows as well.
Absolutely.
And that's just the name of the game. Speaking of tops, this top on Reddit posted, the tops I've been talking to for several years want to do marathon sex, 3 to 4 plus hours.
Love it.
Anything I need to prepare for or be afraid of? The longest I've ever bottomed was for 10 to 20 minutes.
What?
Yeah. That's an interesting, let me just read you some of the things that people wrote. Unrealistic expectations on both sides, somebody wrote. I can do it, and I've done it before, somebody wrote. I've had a 4.5 hour sex S&M session on Saturday. Have water on hand. Bring some food because you will get thirsty and hungry. Bring a few
Yes.
condoms in case one breaks. Plenty of lube as always. Communicate. Okay. Communications dude 30. Normally the idea isn't to last the whole time you come. Can you let your head clear and then go back to it, depending on how young you are? Back to back erections happen often. I like some of these comments. What's the longest, Lincoln, session you've ever had topping somebody? Was it 3 to 4 hours?
Well, it depends if you're sober or not. Let's just be honest. Like, people aren't, you know what I mean? People aren't like, hey, I'm gonna go have
Yeah,
brunch
I
and
thought
then
that.
let's
I
go
thought that
have,
too, as well.
like, there's and you can not be sober and not be cracked out of your head. Like, there are
Hmm.
degrees of
Correct.
sobriety, there are different mind altering things you can do, whether it's a Viagra or smoking pot or drinking or other things that we don't really talk a lot about on this show, but they're definitely out in our community. And if you've been out
Hmm.
dancing all
Yeah.
night on ecstasy or something like that, and then you go home and you have all this energy, then you can last a couple hours on with that, you know. So um i
Right.
i i i I have not done that cold stone setting
I love the stutter.
sober since
I did
maybe my
too.
20s. You know what I mean? That I've stretched out that rubber band. Let's just put it that way over the years of different situations that can go,
But
you
let me
know.
ask you this, Lincoln, because you've talked about great sessions on this show before between you and Peter,
Yeah,
where you just took a Saturday night
yeah.
and dressed each other up and went in one room and did this
We did
and
that
all
recently.
and yeah. So in some ways, I mean, maybe it wasn't topping and bottoming, but it was sexual
Well, you
in
know what?
nature,
It's so
correct?
funny that you say that because when we did that recently, we were so tired that we never went into another room. We just kind of sit, like we showered and felt the feelings, and then we were like, let's lay down because we've been working so hard, and it's nice to just let it all go. And you know, there's music and lighting, and Peter started with a little bit of an outfit, but after like 20 minutes, he's like, this is uncomfortable. Can we just lay down and cuddle? And it was nice because it
I love it.
wasn't
Oh.
all this pressure stuff. And we were also kind of out of practice. So it was a little like there was lube. This is hilarious to me. There was lube everywhere and we were slipping all over the place, but it got into Pretzel's paws and she could not stand up straight to stay her life, which was hilarious. Like
Oh my
she was just
goodness. I
sliding
love
all over the
this.
floor. And I'm like, okay, the next morning we literally had to bathe her, lock her in the bathroom, clean the floors with Windex on our hands and knees, and like wash our feet and wear socks just to get it out of the house because it was like slip and slide
Oh
for the
my.
following 72
Salty
hours.
Pretzel was a
Wow.
part of that three-way, and she didn't even ask to be
Nope,
a part
she
of
just walked through the
it.
room and she was slipping and sliding everywhere. It was hilarious.
Cody, is 3 to 4 hours marathon like ridiculous, or are you all about it?
No, it's amazing.
Okay.
I've done
It
it
is.
maybe once, maybe twice before in my life, and I want to do it again. I'm doing everything I can to convince my boyfriend Joe into this marathon sex thing, but we usually only go about an hour. I hope he's not listening. But yeah, I'm working on them so that I can go for 3 hours because I love it. And you don't even have to really. It's not necessarily anal the entire time. You can. It's the entire experience, just like Lincoln was explaining. It's the outfit, it's the play that you do, and then the foreplay, and then the looks. You can just you can make it amazing. So I'm here for the marathon sexathon.
Yay.
Yeah, this was very specific about topping and bottoming.
But who can
I
top or
w- I
bottom for 3 hours? That's
Well,
excessive.
right. Yeah. I think, but I'm here for the experience of it all and to be lying around costumes, all kinds of stuff for hours. I would love to do that with somebody. I think that would be really awesome. And so for that, which brings us up to our final Reddit thread, is ask the question, is life harder for a bottom than a top? Now, this caused a lot of controversy on a recent Reddit thread. Is it easier to give than to receive? And it depended on the gay that you asked. A spirited debate on Ask Gay Men forum indicated that there's no consensus on whether tops or bottoms have an easier time. One Reddit user kicked off the discussion by asking if other people agree that being a bottom is tougher than being a top. Like, you can't eat spicy food, you need to fast, you need to be clean as fuck before having sex, etc. Many commenters informed that original poster that there's no need for fasting and other diet restrictions, and some tops on the thread indicated that, shit happens and that's okay. But otherwise, there wasn't much common ground in the comments section. Here's a little bit of what they said. Hell yes, easily. A lot of work goes on to preparation, food, cleaning, loosening. Of course, all the actual sex is usually shared toughness, but then you also have the aftercare. Tops love your bottoms and treat them special. They do a lot of work to show you a fun time. Maybe not. Somebody else wrote, depends. Topping is easier to prepare for than bottoming, but if the top is actually trying to give the bottom a good experience,
Hmm.
I feel like that takes certain skills. Making sure the bottom is comfortable and not hurting them. Also, not wanting to disappoint bottoms from finishing too
Hmm.
fast. So I feel like being a great top is harder than being a good bottom, but physically, bottoming can be more time consuming than demanding. Harder, somebody else wrote, I don't know, requires more prep for sure, depends on the person. Obviously, some can just be ready to go, and I applaud those people, but some of us aren't a quick pants down to love town. Some need to make sure that the train isn't going to be slamming into doo-doo station.
Oh
Oh,
my
that's
gosh.
a good
Nothing
one.
makes my dick softer than this Reddit red. I've literally just grew a vagina. I mean, this is just not hot. I
on,
don't talk about
on
this stuff.
and on,
Ay,
Lincoln.
ay, ay.
What is it harder for a bottom than
Yes,
for
it
a
takes a
top?
lot more prep work, and we don't need to discuss it. Get to work. This is not a problem. But show up prepared. It's, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just thought.
For me, I actually think it's not, because I've been such a good bottom. A good bottom. That should be a movie, The Good Bottom. Um,
You're
Starring
better than
Steve
the power
V.
of the dong. I'm kidding.
Hey!
Oh.
Oh! Okay, well, if I'm starring in it, then yes, it is. And yeah, I mean, I'm a little out of practice of sorts these
Oh,
days,
you're
but
still a
I
good
know
bottom,
I will
Tyler.
get back in. Yeah, I'm the good bottom that could. And I know how to get ready for it. I talked to Dr. Goldstein so much, our ass doctor, and so many of us worry so much about our ass. And I eat a high fibrous diet, y'all, and I'm pretty much, even on a time when I didn't plan on getting fucked on a certain night, I was still good to go and clean, and none of that like horror stories that you hear about. I think I didn't happen.
You
So
better
I
work.
don't know, Cody. What? Okay, The Good Bottom, starring
Wait a
Steve
minute.
V.
I think it's so hard to be a bottom out there, and I take my hat off and my bottoms off to all the bottoms out there. I think you're wonderful. You should be treated like the queens or kings or however you identify. You should be treated like royalty, basically. And
Absolutely. Even
and
Pretzel agrees. She just started barking
see.
in the background.
So yeah, there it
Hey,
is. I hear
salty
it. It
pretzel, hopefully with clean paws.
come and join if you want to, Salty Pretzel.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Thanks for playing. This has been so much fun. Take our poll question of the week. Go to patreon.com/tags podcast. We are asking the question: if you agree to exchange nudes, is it bad etiquette to change your mind once the agreement is made? Again, take our poll this week. We'll report back. Tags patreon.com/tags podcast. You can always follow my co-host. Follow Lincoln at Protein Bakery or at Mad Lincoln. You can also follow Cody at KMD Coaching for life coaching or Mr. Maurice. And in the meantime, continue having hot gay
sex.
sex. Nice.
Yes.